Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inside Coop. I'm Coop. This is Jackson. So for today's episode, I'm going to talk about recent movies I've watched on Netflix. A lot of them are historical, true based events, which I think are always more interesting movies just because they actually happen. Um, but add a little twist to it. In honor of one of my favorite shows, Hot Ones, I'm going to be eating hot wings, a degree of hot wings as I review these movies. Um, and if you're familiar with the show Hot Wings, I'll tell you the sauces before I eat them, and should be interesting. So let's start. The classic hot sauce, which is just basic. So recently, I watched a movie on Netflix, The Red Sea Diving Resort. A movie with Chris Evans and Michael Kenneth. If you don't know Michael Kenneth, he plays Omar in The Wire. If you haven't watched The Wire, do yourself a favor, go watch The Wire. Uh, but this movie, it's like I said, a true movie that takes place in the early 1980s, and it involves Michael Kenneth, who's an Ethiopian Jew, wanting to get his people out of oppression and to religious freedom, to try and get them from Ethiopia through Sudan to Israel. At the time, there was a lot of religious oppression, especially to the Ethiopian Jews, since in that part of the world, Muslim is very popular. So there were being massacred by the tens, fifties, hundreds. Um, so the movie is about Michael Kenneth linking up with Chris Evans, who is an Israeli type of CIA operative. They get linked up to try and develop a plan to get all these oppressed Jews out of Ethiopia to Israel. So they set up this fake hotel along the Red Sea called the Red Sea Diving Resort, where after Michael Kenneth leads these people through 1,000 kilometers in the desert to get there, then at night, Chris Evans and his crew would smuggle them with the help of the Israeli Navy on the ships, and then eventually on the help with the Air Force all the way to Israel, the Freedom. So over about a 2 year span, they were running operations ever so often that Michael Kenneth can make that journey, and at the end they end up saving over like 3,000 people, and then they say in the movie, to save one life is to save the world, and saving over 3,000, that's kind of special. So I really like this movie a lot because it reminded me of one of my favorite movies, 13 Hours of Benghazi with John Krasinski. If you haven't watched it, another one of those movies where you need to do yourself a favor and go watch it. It's about 2 hours of a constant adrenaline, but it's important to know what happened there. It's especially since it happened so recent, I believe, around 2011 or so, during the Obama administration, where Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. Fuck her, by the way. And you will say the same thing after watching this. It's about a movie where we have a CIA outpost in Benghazi, Libya. Libya at the time, huge like terrorist presence where ISIS was becoming more and more powerful, and there was a point where we had a U.S. ambassador visit Benghazi, and actually on 9/11, like 2011, there was an attack on the ambassador's house to where the entire city rioted and pretty much killed him. And the only backup he had were 6 to 8 contract ex-militiamen. So a few Navy SEALs, a couple Army Rangers, I think a few Marines too, but only 6 to 8 of them to protect the 50 CIA at the CIA outpost and then the ambassador. So to not give away their location, they did send in. They send pretty much too late. If you see the movie, you'll know. But to have these guys who barely know each other, all they know is that they served, and they'll do anything to save the man next to them, and to try and get everybody home. So you're just in this constant adrenaline rush of somewhat patriotism because you feel like you're part of them, you're with them, going through this journey, through this 13-hour process where the whole city is coming at you. And the scary part is they're not wearing uniforms. They're civilians. You have no idea who's coming at you, which is just the constant terror of not knowing what's coming at you next. It's just a phenomenal story of how for 13 hours these 6 to 8 guys took on the whole city and were able to get majority of the people out of Benghazi and to safety, with only the loss of like one or two. So the reason why I say fuck Hillary Clinton, because throughout the 13 hours they had no help from the U.S. They knew what was going on, and yet no help was ever sent. And they don't need anything. Like one of the guys said in the movie, all you need is to give them the Godfather of the United States with a flyover, 4 jets flying over the city. They'll scare all those motherfuckers back in their hole. Anyway, I digress. Great movie, but going along with this theme, I need to start eating wings. So going along with this theme of like CIA operatives, true stories, tight situations. Of course, it makes you think of Zero Dark 30. The story of how our CIA, with the years and years of research, collecting intel, to find Bin Laden and eventually execute him. So Jessica Chastain was awesome in it. She plays a CIA operative who does all the intensive research, follows the phone line, figure out who is in command and who's actually delivering people to deliver information to Bin Laden to try and figure out where he is. And just being American, wanting to know what happened is just so interesting. Like, yeah, we know the night where, we got Bin Laden, but oh wow, how did we do it? We had Navy SEALs in there. How awesome would it be to see that happen? And so this movie kind of gives you that window look into what possibly could have happened. I mean, it's Hollywood, but they did the best they did. But that reminds me of another movie, Argo. If you haven't seen Argo, it's with Ben Affleck, where he plays a CIA operative who's in charge of getting members who worked at a U.S. embassy in Iran. And what happened was there was a huge takeover where a bunch of Iranians attacked the U.S. embassy, took some for hostage, and about 6 of them were able to escape and live in the Canadian ambassador's house. So for weeks and weeks, they were trying to develop a plan of how to get them out, and Ben Affleck was able to come up with this plan where he would fly in there, disguise them up, and fly them out without anybody knowing. And at this time where they were on high alert because they knew there were 6 people that the Iranians knew there were 6 people that they didn't found yet, it's just once again one of those adrenaline rush movies because it happened, it was real. You kind of put yourself in that setting and you have that anxiety, you have that fear of, are they going to catch us? What's going to happen when they're going to catch us? Being on the run of that fear of everybody out there sees me as a possible American and wants to come at me and kill me. So actually won an Academy Award for Best Picture. I mean, Ben Affleck does a phenomenal job. Keeps it simple, doesn't do too much, but he does the right amount. But with the supporting cast of having Alan Arkin and John Goodman, having that comedy thrown in there, I mean, one of my favorite lines in the movie is when Alan Arkin just yells, "Go fuck yourself." I mean, can't do better. So I'm on to my third wing now, and this is the pineapple habanero sauce. Gotta get it on there good. It's a sweeter one. So thinking like these movies of high intense situations, dealing with terrorists, being in a foreign country, and having to use your intellect and your intuition to maneuver to come up with the best plan possible. And if you like that stuff, then definitely get on Amazon and watch Jack Ryan. John Krasinski from 13 Hours does a phenomenal job playing Jack Ryan, a CIA guy who is the first one that's trying to find the next terrorist, the next Bin Laden, and he's always tracking it to try and stop it happen and figuring out who in the world could be dangerous. And what's good about the show is they try to bring in real events to make it somewhat real, but that also makes it really terrifying because it's like, could this be happening? So definitely that's a good show if you're looking for a new show to watch. Jack Ryan on Amazon. There's two current seasons right now, so could have yourself in for the next month or so. So along the lines of these drama movies, patriotism, doing stuff to help each other out in the situations, reminds me of the movie Munich. So if you don't know about the story of Munich, it takes place in the early 70s at the Munich Olympic Games, and the Israeli Olympians were taken hostage and eventually brutally murdered. And the movie is about the Israeli government going secretive using Eric Bana and Daniel Craig and a bunch of others to find out who were the ones involved planning it and then getting back at them to kill them. And it's just very interesting knowing the tactics they used, gathering the intel. I mean, Bond, Mission Impossible, those movies are supposed to bring up our arousal. I mean, we're humans, our arousal is everything. They're supposed to like make everything, oh wow, that's exciting, but you know it's not real. This movie made what Bond does real. There's just the intellect, the all the spyness that occurs. Just it's cool, but scary at the same time. And you know it's a great film because it's directed by Steven Spielberg. And what we know from history is he knows how to make a fucking movie, especially when it involves the power or the struggle of what the Jewish people have gone through. I mean, he directed Schindler's List and how powerful that movie is. And this movie is about getting back at people who oppressed Israeli Olympians. So you know he's going to direct the shit out of it. So that's Munich. It's with Eric Bana, Daniel Craig, a few others. Definitely a high intense movie, but like I said, the movies that I'm bringing up are stories that actually happen. So I think that adds an extra excitement to them. Alright, so I'm on wing number 4, Los Calientes. Oh yeah, has a little bite to it. Alright, let's just jump to wing 5 while we're already at it. The 5th one is headless horseradish sauce, ghost pepper. Now all the sauces are doing, so in the show they have 10 sauces. I'm doing the bottom 5, as in the 5 easiest. But we also bought the last dab, which is the hottest one, so that's the last one, the 6th one. This one's 5. So this is headless horseradish. Fuck me. Shit. Well, it's really coated in there. Oh, I'm fucked for this. You just gotta attack it. You pay for it later. Just like Rocky 4. He's training him. Train him, no pain. No pain. No pain. But my mouth is on fire right now, okay? This is uncomfortable. Alright. So, going along the lines of these kind of like serious CIA operative movies, but banding together because you need to in times of struggle. Reminds me of this movie on Netflix that recently came out. I think this past summer. Triple Frontier. Charlie Hunnam, phenomenal actor, one of my favorites. Hardcore British actor, but of course he's playing this American. Ben Affleck, Hayden, the guy from Friday Night Lights and Tron Legacy and Four Brothers. He's the Jackie from Four Brothers. That dude, he's Jack now, by the way. And then Oscar Perez, who he's in the new Star Wars movie. He plays the pilot dude, the fast pilot dude in the new Star Wars. But it's a movie about these guys who were all in the same unit together. They were Army Rangers, and it's about their life afterwards. Charlie Hunnam speaks to soldiers coming back with PTSD issues. Ben Affleck's a struggling real estate agent. And then I forget his name. I think it's Hayden. The guy from Jackie from Four Brothers. We're just gonna say his name's Hayden. Hayden plays Charlie Hunnam's brother, who now is a UFC fighter. And then Oscar Perez plays a CIA operative, where he helps other governments with drug lords, kingpins, cartel. So Oscar Perez comes across this one drug lord who has a safe house. He's been after him five years, but there could be millions upon millions at this house, and he wants his team to be able to take this guy out because he's tired of chasing him. And so his team calls his guys over. Hey, here's the money for a week's worth. Here's about like 30 grand or something. Money's good. So the story is about them going to the drug lord's house, figure out the house is just pretty much made of money after they do their job. They rip open the walls, find all this money, and they have no way of smuggling it out. And it's just about them trying to get their way back to the US with all this undocumented cash that they want. And the hardships they come across, the locals, the other drug lords, but it's about how they banded together and came out this time of crisis and once again ended up as a unit. Some hardships, some losses, but it's one of those movies where, like I said, you're on the edge of your seat, you're living it with them, you're wanting to be with them, you're becoming more patriotic and whatnot. So that's Triple Frontier. It's on Netflix. Alright, another one. Alright, this is the last dab. This is the hottest wing. I'm not excited for it because the last one kind of kicked my ass. I'm gonna use drumstick on this one. Alright, I got it coded. Not happy. Alright. Woo! Oh. Okay. That's some heat. Sweating. Alright. So, on the path of CIA operatives and kind of like South America drug lord talk, brings me to the movie American Made with Tom Cruise. True story about this sketchy pilot, or degenerate pilot I should say, who kind of just like breaking the law. To the point where he was smuggling stuff back in and out, where he comes across Pablo Escobar. And he starts flying cocaine from Colombia to the U.S. Then the U.S. gets ahead of him and say, all right, we know you're doing this, but we want you to keep doing this so you can spy on Escobar for us. So the whole movie is about him just working for both sides, making fuck ton of money, like money he didn't know what to do with. Just flying drugs back and forth. And we got most of the story because while at the end when Escobar finds out that he is giving the U.S. information, he knows the cartel is going to be after him. So he starts videotaping a confession and sending it in before he's eventually caught and killed. Wow, my lips are fucking on fire. Ooh. Yeah, Yingling, not sure it will help. Saw Johnny Knoxville drink a beer on the episode, so maybe it will help. I also got a Red Bull. Let's try the Red Bull. Wow. Surprisingly, that helps a little bit. Whoa. That was good. That was good. Alright. What else? Okay. So, all the lines of drugs, CIA, we can't leave out Sicario. Sicario, 2 movies, absolutely badass with Josh Brolin, Emily Blunt, and Benicio del Toro. Benicio del Toro plays this Colombian hitman who teams up with the CIA because the CIA is after these other cartel motherfuckers, and sometimes they can't necessarily get involved, so they use Benicio to handle the dirty work. So I won't say it's a true story, but I bet they have some real information that they use for the movie, and it's just interesting to see what not only the DA has to work through, the FBI, the CIA, the chain of command that involves, and the shadiness that goes on to make sure, we keep safe and we get the bad guys. So the whole movie, you just find out the dealings that the CIA do, the shadiness that's involved, but how we can be involved, but we can't necessarily be involved. Like, we can be there, but we can't have our hands on it, if that makes sense. We can't be pulling the trigger, but we can point motherfuckers out. So, definitely a high intense movie that is, in that all sense of the word, thrilling. So, all these movies I would definitely give a watch. If you watch one, you're going to be watching another. So, I'll try and remember the list. So you got, I actually have my list. So you got Red Sea Diving Resort on Netflix, 13 Hours in Benghazi, American Made, Triple Frontier, Munich, Argo, Jack Ryan, Zero Dark 30, and Sicario. Of course, there's many more, but right now my lips are on fire. So I'm going to eat this ice cream sandwich that I have that I hope isn't melted all the way. And thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow for an episode about video games and movies.